One, all to order. Thank you. Good afternoon. I call to order the GCC board meeting, regular board meeting, 12/13/2022 at 4:45 p.m. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Harry Block.
Here.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick.
Very happy to be back here. Person.
I'm sorry. Mr. Jack Turner.
Present in person.
Lily Campbell, present. We are all here. Forgive us if we are a little kind of pitsy today because we are very glad to be back. And thank you, all of the board members. We are all present and accounted for. Board members, I do need motion to again approve SB 361. The board resolution again. It's giving us the option. It's on the agenda again tonight, but it's to give us the option that if we have to go virtual, we'll be able to do so. That's what we're the board resolutions for tonight. The option, the feasibility, the possibility of going virtual again. So I will need a motion for SB 361 board resolution. So move, Mr. Anderson. Second, Mr. Turner. Roll call. Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Harry Block.
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick.
Yes.
Jack Turner.
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. And so SB 361 board resolution passed unanimously. And with that, do we have any public comments?
Madam President, there's no public comments tonight.
No public comments. Thank you. Before we go into closed session, may I just say how great it is to see so many wonderful faces, the administrators, to be with us in person. Yay, it's okay. With all of your permission. Thank you. Look over here, cabinet. And I'm trying not to get too emotional, but it is just so great to be with you tonight. And thank all of you for being with us. Thank you for the reception so that we could once again hug and say how good it is to be together once again. Someone asked, it's almost 3 years. It'll be January, will be our third. We're coming into our third year. So thank you so much for your support, for your perseverance, for just continuing to do what we do while we're here, and that's to educate students and to be responsive to the parents and whatever. So thank all of you, and I'm going to stop now. So with that, the board will be going into closed session at this point, and we're going into closed session for employee personnel matter pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, and we shall return soon after closed session. So just kind of mingle a little bit, but don't leave. Thank you. that I would like to read and share. Are we ready, Ms. Melissa?
Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone hear me? I feel as if I'm sitting under. Okay, great. Thank you. The GCC board would like to announce that by unanimous vote, the current deputy superintendent, Jason Sample, has been selected as Gateway Community Charter's next superintendent CEO. He will begin to transition into the role starting January the 1st, 2023, and will assume leadership by the end of the school year. Current and founding Gateway Community Charter Superintendent CEO, Dr. Cindy Peterson, previously informed the GCC board of her intent to retire by the end of the 2022-23 school year, and has committed to ensuring that the leadership transition is seamless and that she provides all necessary support and resources to ensure the success of the new superintendent and the organization. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, we shall continue with our board agenda. And now we will have the superintendent's update. She comes with great information, and so we're ready for it.
So before I begin, I'd like to have anybody in the room, meaning anybody in cabinet seats, anybody in the audience who's never been present at an in-person board meeting of the GCC stand.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
About that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. Prior to Zoom, we did a really good job culturally of setting an expectation that administrators were here in relationship to the board. The Zoom platform doesn't really allow for that as well, as you know. So the board has been very excited to see your faces today and to get to know you better. So we're going to continue that good work, right?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, we shall.
all right, and so I want to say that I am so excited to be here also and excited to have been a part of the succession planning that you just read about. And definitely want to say that that definitely I am in huge support of Jason in his role. And while I know that you gave us a hand, I know your hand was for both of us.
Okay.
Thanks. Everybody expects me to cry. It's okay. So I want to be sure that if you had a chance, you saw the holiday art contest. I want to basically make sure that you're aware we have a lot of great student art that we're displaying. And we're very proud of all of our student artists. And we want to thank Director Joy DeCoy, who took the time to coordinate all of that. I also saw Miss Erin Marston out there helping to get lights and things and make things coordinated. If you didn't get a chance to do your voting board, we still could take your votes. All right. Also, you might be aware as you walked about that we have some very decorated cubicles and office spaces. There is a very aggressively fought contest going on there as well. Definitely want to affirm Miss Lydia, who decorated the superintendent's office. It's very creative as well. Want to take the time and affirm board member Harry Block. You may be aware that on December 9th, Harry celebrated his 80th birthday. So Harry has been a significant community member, but he also has been an ADA generator since his grandchildren come to He's going to keep having children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren as long as he can keep track of them and get them into our schools. So thank you, Harry, and happy birthday. We are looking forward to being on school sites. Cabinet and others are going to be out and about. We have winter celebrations. We have all kinds of things happening at our schools, a lot of celebrations, events. I hear the COA Middle School is having the Husky Games once again, among other things. So we're excited to come out and share with you and be a part of those things. We look forward to that. We are in our third year of the GCC Teacher Leader Program, which is something that I've had the honor of growing across the last 3 years with input from Lyle Kurtman, who's one of our really supportive consultants. We're really excited. We have people working on passion projects that are going to make an impact across our schools. Really looking forward to telling the board more about that as those passion projects become more developed. Want to recognize that we had staff from CCCS and SABA recently attend an ACTE conference, bringing about a lot of good ideas around career technical education. Certainly it was a time for learning and growth, and we're looking forward to what they're bringing back to innovate into our programs. We're really excited at the increase in attendance at professional learning, the same way we're here being in face-to-face. It's good to get together with other people and grow. Recently, I have continued to attend the Superintendent's Council for AXA and networks with superintendents across the state, including some works with the executive director of AXA on some charter-specific items. I'm also the region representative for the AXA Leadership Development Committee, which is key to some of the work that's happening in AXA to grow their excellence. We had an excellent CASBO winter meeting. I know Bruce will be disappointed that he wasn't a part of it. It was a slow return to their holiday luncheon that they did. It was a very small but mighty group, and Jason, Aaron Marston, Lillian Matu, and Laura Berrigan and I attended. And I will say it was definitely a good luncheon because both Jason and I won Starbucks gift card.
Yes.
You know that's a good luncheon.
Yes.
And finally, I want to say that we are coming close to the final session. Tomorrow is the final session of this current cohort of Crucial Conversations, which my assistant and I argue over what number it is. So it is somewhere around 27, and I don't want you to open your mouth or shake your head. Okay, I've been here for all 27, you have not. So anyway, I just want to say it's always amazing to work with people across the GCC, and we have some great people from our various sites having incredibly deep conversations in that work. And also, I see I have a page 2, sorry. My page 2 says we had Business Watch happening. We hosted for the second time, I believe, the McClellan Business Park businesses, elected officials, district attorney, CHP, county transportation, Sac County Sheriff, and Air Force, and others here in our offices. I want to affirm Sergei Terikov for his coordination of this. And it is based on the idea of what solutions we have for the homeless in the area and how that's impacting the base in our schools. Payroll team did some great work. I know you are maybe aware that you approved initially a 1.5% stipend, then you doubled that stipend. And then our payroll team worked tirelessly to get that out to staff prior to Christmas so that it would help them during the holidays. So we definitely want to do a shout out to everybody who was involved in ensuring that payment went out. I know it was business services staff. I know it was personnel staff, and it didn't happen without people going above and beyond. So thank you for doing that. Also want to remind you that our schools will be closed from 12/26 to January 9th. We have school all next week, all the way through the 23rd. All the way through the 23rd. And so it means that our January starts later. Also, one last thing, and believe it or not, is the last thing. I want to do a shout out to Sava PI. You're going to see some more about their campus tonight, but we are really excited to see the progress and get into our Sava PI facility. I know you're excited too. You're going to see some great pictures tonight on that. So really, that's the end of my superintendent presentation.
Thank you so very much, board members. Any comments, any questions, anything from the superintendent? Hearing none, seeing none. Thank you so much again for all of the hard work and everything that you do to ensure that we are on board with everything and knowledge of everything. And thank you for all the work you put in. And so with that, and again, I just need to mention how great it is to see the new faces who are here for the first time. And again, we welcome you and we thank you for being here with us. And we pride ourselves in growing our own, something that the superintendent has put into place. And we have grown some wonderful administrators, school leaders and what have you. So we're so glad to see you again. Thank you. Okay, and with that, we move into the study session. Sava, program space update. We're anxiously awaiting.
All right, well, good evening, President Campbell, Dr. Peterson, and the GCC board. It is great to be back with you in person. And since I have the podium, I'll keep it short, but I just have to say, Dr. Peterson, from all of us, I think I can speak for every person in this building. You touched each of us in a way that will impact our lives, our family's lives, and our students' lives forever. We love you. I'll keep it there. And board, thank you for providing us with Jason to lead the way. I think I can also speak for the team to say we are excited to continue the vision that Dr. Peterson has created under your leadership. And I just look forward to being part of that team as we move forward in the future. We're in good hands. All right, so this is a project that started at our Powering campus almost 2 years ago. I believe we officially had the lease approved by the board in January, maybe early February of 2021. And it's taken, a full 2 years to get where we need to be. We are just about 3 or 4 months behind our initial schedule, but considering all that we went through with COVID over the last 2 years, we'll take it. And we are ready to rock and roll. The Power and team with Summer Ashley and Christina are going to have students in this building January 9th, first day back from the semester. I'm going to highlight 5 key areas of this building just to give you a good scope of what we will have to serve students with over the next many years at this campus. First, we'll highlight just our general project-based learning middle school space. We have a lot of classrooms where we will implement a full PBL model program. We have multiple makerspace CTE classrooms within the facility. We have a multi-purpose gym that we'll use for GCC sports, we'll use for PBL units, we'll use for community events. It's a beautiful space. We have an industry kitchen for Chef Brian and Chef Rhonda to lead our advanced culinary classes. And in the back of the facility, we have a gated outdoor space that can also be utilized as learning space, as parking for our SUVs, and any other activities that we want to be able to hold outdoors. So we'll start with just a general picture of the facility at the Powering campus. The 3 smaller buildings are the buildings we've been in since 2007. And this new building on the left, highlighted in yellow, is the 20,000 square feet that we're currently remodeling. And you can see on the right, the inside of that building as of 1 year ago, January. That's what it looked like. We started with a blank slate, and the following pictures will be what it's turned into now. So first up, for the PBL middle school, we'll serve up to 225 students in this facility. When you walk in the main entrance, the picture on the left, you'll see the large common areas. We will have desks and tables set up for students to come out and study on their own, to do small group collaborative lessons with each other. And then we have the left side of the common area lined with 6 classrooms that will be for more of our core instruction. And on the right side of the hallway, you can't tell from this picture, but the right side goes into our gymnasium. So it's a beautiful, big open space, high ceilings. We're very happy with how that design turned out. On the right, you can see a picture of one of our classrooms. This one is beautiful because it has a lot of windows in the back, so a lot of natural light. Give and take across the 7 classrooms. Some have more light than others, but all of them have a lot of color, a lot of pop. Garage doors that roll up so teachers can have an enclosed space or an open air space, whatever is best for them and their students the day they're teaching. Moving on to the CTE specific space. Again, right now, these look pretty bare, no equipment or furniture in them. But when you walk into the facility, you will see on the left our 2 CTE makerspace rooms with large windows looking into the classroom, strategically placed so that we get students excited right away about the career pathways that we're offering, the career exploration that we're offering in middle school. And then the picture on the right shows the blank slate that we'll start with. We will be putting furniture in these classrooms over the holiday break. So by January 9th, these will be full of, I think, 12 to 15 different CTE units that students will go through throughout the course of a 2-year program at SADA. Multi-purpose gym. They're laying floors this week. When we took these pictures yesterday and then again this morning, this is where they were at. The floor is being laid today. It will be done by Friday. We'll have hoops installed for basketball over the winter break. And then early January, we may be a little delayed beyond the 9th with the gym being open. Everything else in the site will be ready to go for students. But in the month of January, we should have the hoops up, the floor stripes, and be able to have full activity within the gym. Industry kitchen. This is one we've been waiting for quite a while. We've had a very robust culinary program for 7, 8, 9 years now. Chef Brian and Chef Rhonda do a fabulous job getting our kids out in the community. We've served a number of GCC events over the years. We now have a food trailer that we'll be taking out to events this spring. And what I am super excited about is the ability to actually open up as a restaurant once we build the capacity within our program to do so. The way we design this space, the permits that we pulled for this space do give us that ability to actually serve the public once we get our students in the pathway ready to do that. And at some point, we'll definitely invite the board out and we'll host lunch for you at this facility sometime soon. The picture on the right, it's a little hard to tell what that is, but that's from the inside of the prep area. So that will all be decked out with commercial kitchen equipment. And that is the actual learning space that students will get to cook from. One other nice piece I want to highlight on the left side of the seating area picture, if you see the 3 big windows kind of behind the kitchen area, that is a large, really it's a large conference room / small classroom. Chef Ryan will be able to hold classes in that space. And when we host community events and have meetings with our industry partners, we can have a window view of our culinary kids in action. Last piece I want to highlight in this facility is the gated outdoor space. So again, this is the 400 property outlined in yellow. And you can see the gated space in the back where the car would park at this time. One of the plans we have for this spot are going to be urban gardens and really develop some type of a farm to fork program within our own culinary program. We'll turn that into service learning projects throughout the community. And then, of course, just a safe place to park the number of SUVs that we use to transport kids from site to site, really almost 185 school days a year so that they can participate in any of the 12 pathways that are offered across the SADA campuses. So overall, 20,000 square feet. It's been a 2-year project. It is ready to go. And we're excited to host students starting January 9th in this facility. With that, just a huge thank you to the board. We have to have a board that is supportive of our programs and that believes in the work that our administrators do in order to make things like this happen. And just want to say thank you for this opportunity, for trusting us with the funds needed to make this happen for our students. And if you have any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer them.
I just want to say thank you to you for your vision and your staff and all the people with whom you're working to make this happen, because your vision has caused some good things to happen.
Thank you. I'll definitely give credit to the SADA team and Summer, Ashley, Christina. I don't think Mike is here tonight, but Mike Mendoza is our new middle school administrator, and the entire PBL framework that they are using to create a program that's going to serve 225 to 250 students is incredible. And that is all their vision planning and framework. So kudos to them.
Thank you.
Yes, Mark.
Maury, are we going to do any grand opening for the community?
We will have multiple events, so I don't know that we'll have an official grand opening, but we have a lot already planned, and we'll be sure we get you invites to those events that are already on the calendar. Yeah. Yes, Eric.
Is the ceiling tall enough for basketball?
You know, the ceiling is tall enough for basketball. We tested it out, did some research on Google on how high the arc of an average NBA shot goes, and we fall about a foot higher than needed for an NBA player to shoot a three. So it's tight. There will be no half court, full court shots, because if you do that, you are gonna hit the rafters. But you can everything but half court, 3/4 court shots, you'll be good to go.
Anything else? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All anxious, very anxious. No other questions or comments? We will now move into consent agenda items, and for our guests, I will read those. Consent agenda items in which we will be voting are adoption of the GCC board meeting minutes 11/15/2022, personnel consent agenda items, purchases over 30,000, salary schedule 2022-23 revision, certificated and classified stipend expansion. And we have all gotten the information on that, which we have read before. So I will entertain a motion at this point.
I move approval.
Move approval, Mr. Turner.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Mandrake. Any discussion on any of the items listed? Hearing none. All in favor of the consent agenda items, the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition. The consent agenda items pass unanimously. Thank you very much. And now we move into our business. GCC first interim budget and financial report. Ms. Samara, that's you.
Good evening, Superintendent, Board President, and trustees. I'm going to present the 22-23 first interim budget. I'm going to start with oops, digress. I got it. Quick overview. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction. We're going to go over some LCFF assumptions, revenue, expenditures, our fund balance, some risks, and of course our conclusion. Okay. So quick introduction of the components of our first interim. We have our original adopted budget. So that was what you guys approved in June of 2022. Your board approved operating budget is exactly that. It's the same as the original budget, because that's the last approved budget. We have the revised budget, which is our first interim, which are all the revisions since then. And then you have your expenses or your actuals through October 31st of 2022. This presentation will focus on the comparisons between the adopted budget and the proposed budget revisions of our first interim across all GCC sites. Any additional information that you won't find in this PowerPoint, you can find it in the budget book. So we're going to go ahead and start with LCFF revenue assumptions. So our COLA that was given to us was 6.56. Since adoption, there was an augmentation COLA of 6.28. So that has increased our COLA to low over 12% for this year. 20% of supplemental grant per ADA for each of our students, 65% concentration for LEAs or charters, over 55% of needy, and all our sites meet that. So we get all these components. We have also grade span adjustment for kindergarten through third grade of 950 and 9th grade to 12th grade of 288 additional for those grade levels. Again, the components of the LCFF are the base. You have your supplemental, you have your concentration. We get a component called Educator Protection Act or EPA, and then of course the property tax. So all those components kind of build your LCFF revenue. And of course our LCFF revenue is our main source of revenue. It really is factored by our average daily attendance, our ADA. Our unduplicated people count is our second biggest driver, and of course our COLA. In this next slide, you see the enrollment and the average daily attendance. So we, from adopted, you can see that we've exponentially increased on all our sites. For the exception in this particular data point for Saba Twin Rivers, our marketplace campus, but as of Friday, that number is at 195. So we have actually an increase on all our sites currently in enrollment. Our average daily attendance is based on trends from the past 3 years. And so we are projecting that our ADA will be the 5,064.72 that you see in the first interim column. So an increase of 408.36. So we're doing really well. This is actually a record high enrollment year. So that is a great thing for our organization. So our unduplicated pupil percentages changes all have seen an increase. So this is just a reminder, unduplicated pupils are foster youth, homeless, free and reduced, basically your needy and disadvantaged students. So we are seeing an increase in our populations. Again, you know, our data team has been very active in making sure that our information is accurate, that we're getting information back from families to be able to classify these students correctly in our data. Some of the impacts, like I mentioned earlier, is our ADA with an increase of 408.36 of students that we will include in our calculation. Unduplicated pupil percentage have increased from 0.3 to 1.9 depending on the site. Augmentation of our COLA of the 6.28, that's a total impact of $9.7 million this year. So all these factors are what this increase entails. So when you look at the breakdown of revenue, so I'm just going to go over our revenues here. You can see that the variance on the very first slide, on the very first row, LCFF sources of the 9.7 is just what I just went over. So I'll go over the next three components of revenue. So your federal, your state, and your other local. So for federal revenue, we see an increase of 225,000. That's mainly just the difference between estimated actuals and unaudited actuals and how much money we carried over for our ESSER. So a lot of these one-time COVID dollars fall under our federal revenue. So that's what that number is made up of. For other state revenue, this one is a very complex resource or category because we received not only the 88 provision, loss provision that was awarded last year, but we're not receiving it till this year. So it wasn't recorded in the adopted budget due to not knowing when we were going to receive the funds. So at unaudited actuals, it was recommended that we do one of the provisions, which was the proxy that was included in our unaudited actuals. And then this ADA loss provision is going to be awarded this year. So that's reflected in our first interim budget. That's 3.7 million. And then you also have two new block grants this year of 3 million of the arts, music, and instructional materials. And you also have 9 million of learning recovery emergency block grant. So these two were also not included in the adopted budget due to the fact that they weren't measurable at the time of adopted budget. So we've received award letters and it's measurable now. So it's included in our first interim. So that's the reflection of what's happening in the state. Also, the state mental health that was being funded through our SELPA. It is now directly funded to our LEAs. So that's another impact or increase of 232,000 as of adopted. For other local revenue, you also see an increase of 1.5 from adopted. That is due to the emergency connectivity fund. So this is a E-rate program that we applied for all our hotspots, our connectivity for our students to be able to access internet at home. And so this is a one-time award and we are utilizing it for existing services that we have. And also we had an increase to our special ed state transfer, which is due to our COLA increase in our enrollment. Okay. So this is the summary of our expenditures and the variances between adopted and first interim. So we have a total increase of 3.8 million. And you can see in the different categories, for the most part, they all have increases for the exception of books and supplies. So I'll go into details in the next slide on what these mean. For certificated salaries, we have an increase of 302. And that's due to serving more students than from our adopted projected numbers. So more certificated staff has been needed to fill some of these classrooms with the enrollment increase. So that's what that is. For classified salaries, we have an increase of $984,000, and that's due to the development of the ELOP, which is the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, and the After School Program for Enrichment. We also have seen an additional increase for paraeducators used to support students with learning loss. So those are kind of the components of where we're seeing these increases. And the paraeducators are also the ones that are being used for ELOP and after school enrichment programs. So for the books and supplies, that was a decrease from adopted. But as you can tell, our overall increase, if you look at the slide prior, oops, I went too far. I'm trying to go back. Okay. Thank you. So if you go back, our total increase was 3.8. So overall, we have an increase, even though we have a decrease in this designation. Our adopted budget had placeholders, right? So if it was unplanned or unallocated at adopted, it was put into this category. Well, we've distributed those dollars to other areas. Can you go back one slide one more time? So you can see the increases of services, capital outlay, salaries. Those have been redistributed or now planned to be put in these other categories. So that's where that amount has been absorbed. So I'll answer any questions at the end if anybody has questions, but that's what that number is. It's basically a realignment of dollars that were unplanned that now we have a plan for. We have hired or hired contracts for the services. So for services and other, we have an increase of 3.5 million. Then that's due to increase in travel. So post-COVID traveling, professional development. We also have consultants and companies to support our expanded learning opportunity program. So these programs are 9 hours, after school, there's 3-4 hours, and we are not finding staff. So we are contracting out to find services for these students for these programs. Additional instructional licensing, and then also we have a contractor for certificated substitutes currently that we're using because we can't fill our subpool. And then for capital outlay, we have an increase of 1 million. That's due to the Sava Sac City expansion project that you just saw. Also special equipment that we've purchased for CTE, so our CCCS campus, Sava, our Sava campuses, and then also a Bell sound system for COA. That's what that number's made up of. Now we go to our fund balance. So at adopted, that beginning balance of 46 million is based on our estimated actuals. So that number kind of rolls in, and we estimated we were going to start with 46 million. At the end of the day, we didn't spend it all. So we had 48.7 is what our unaudited actuals are. So we had an increase for money left over of 2.6. And this is really restricted dollars that didn't get spent that just get rolled over into the next year. Your increase and decrease to unrestricted net assets, that's just your current revenue minus your current year expenditures. For adopted budget, we had started our year with very conservative enrollment numbers. As you saw, our enrollment numbers have come in a little higher, a lot higher actually. And so you see your revenue minus your expenditures. We also have a lot of one-time dollars, the 2 block grants. And I kind of explained that in the bullets right below. I've already kind of touched that when we talked about the state funding. You have the 3.7 million of ADA loss provision that's included. You have the 3 million of the art and music block grant. You also have the 9 million of learning recovery emergency grants, and then the 9.7 of just LCFF increases. So that really is what makes up that 18.6 million. A lot of it gets deferred into the next year. It's the fund balance. So you see the fund balance increase to 67.3 million for the end of this year that we're projecting. This slide just kind of explains what I just explained. So I explains the beginning balance and how that's calculated, estimated versus unaudited. So our first interim has our final number of where we ended last year and how we're beginning this current year. Your net increase and decrease, that is your current revenue minus your current expenditures. In our first interim, we true up salaries. We make reductions to expenses for vacancies that haven't been filled for the beginning of the year. We also we allocate restricted dollars for one-time monies. And then anything else that needs to be adjusted for the newer grants that are being implemented. Your ending fund balance is just the beginning balance plus your net increase or decrease. So that's what your ending balance is. And then just a reminder on our reserve guidelines. So when I put in the designations, I do 10% reserve for sustainability, 15% for facility acquisition, construction and maintenance. And then we keep 5% reserve for economic uncertainty across all our sites. Okay. Some of the risks that we're seeing come up is that we have the LCFF revenue had 2 ADA provisions between last year and this year. One provision is one-time in nature, which is the one that you're seeing in the state this year. So that will go away or drop off next year. We have a looming recession. We have inflation that it has been maintained at an all-time high, increasing the cost of goods and services. We have the impact of the Ukrainian-Russian war. We have volatility to the stock market that creates uncertainty and risk to the economy. And also the cliff, which is the significant amount of one-time money that we're getting and knowing that that's going to drop off, right? And figuring out how we're going to restructure and reprioritize our expenditures. And lastly, I want to thank my team for this report. It's not something that's done just by me. I want to acknowledge and I want my staff to stand up if they're in here. So Valerie Rogers, our Director of Business Services, Yvonne Gracer, Supervisor of Fiscal Services, Lillian Matu, also Supervisor of Fiscal Services, and then our 2 analysts, Norma Vite and Grayson, our Budget and Financial Analysts. And of course, our sites that give us input on what's happening at their sites, what are they feeling, not feeling, what are their needs, how can we help them prioritize each of their dollars. So also thank you to all the administrators that met with us to ensure that we updated these numbers as best we could. So can you please stand up? Now go ahead and entertain any questions.
Okay, board. Yes, Jack.
Well, Mara, I want to thank you and your staff. A very informative budget presentation on a very complicated school budget, as we've noted many times in the past. And I think you really highlighted the risk. There's all sorts of discussion about a recession, which we know in the state of California. They pass that on to the school districts. And then the cliff, we'll wait for the cliff. And
They keep pushing that bucket
they keep
down
pushing
the road.
it out, but it's going to come sometime, and it's going to be a little bit painful because people, and I don't blame them, will get used to that, having that cushion of dollars, and it will no longer be there, but at least we have it for now. But thank you and your staff.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other comments from board members before? Yes, Bruce.
I wanted to comment on enrollment in ADA. And this is really to all the people behind you and all the people at the school sites. You read about school districts right now and there's declining enrollment everywhere. Kids disappeared. And yet we have a record all-time enrollment this year. So I think we're really doing something really good out there and people are seeing it and understanding it. And so I think kudos to the superintendent, kudos to the entire staff, school sites and whatever. I'm a school business person myself, and I've worked through declining enrollment and I worked through rising enrollment. you definitely want to be on the side of increasing enrollment, so. Kudos to everyone for that.
It's been
Yes.
very strategic, strategic advertisements and the site administrators and Sergey's team have really been part of that endeavor, so, yeah.
Okay, Mark, you had.
I also wanted to thank you and your staff for the excellent job you've done through the audit. Both Dr. Peterson and I have had an opportunity to talk to the lead auditors, and they had nothing but positive things to say about the organization, how you run it. And with all the schools that you're managing, you're doing a yeoman's job of really keeping this all together. So I want to thank you.
Yeah.
And I personally want to thank you and give acclamations to the staff, your staff, and the work that they have done in presenting us with the board, with the report for the board. So thank you for your hard work, all of you. Enough has been said, and now we have to take a vote to pass the first interim report, budget report. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved in second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Budget is passed. First interim budget. Thank you so much for your hard work. We really appreciate it. All right. And so with that, we are down to board comments.
Before the
Before-
board comments,
okay.
let me also recognize, if the board has not, that I believe Team COA has gifted you with chocolate. Is that Team COA? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and a beautiful snack. Okay. And you also have in your little white bag the annual GCC ornament, and it's breakable, so be careful, along with some chocolate and other things. So I just, because we're going to end after board comments, I didn't want that to go unnoticed.
And that was in my comments to thank COA for this lovely gift up here. Thank you. She knows what we like. And they know what we like. So thank you. Board comments? Yes.
Larissa, I want to say thank you for the chocolate. It wouldn't be Christmas without it. So, but no, I just want to say it's so nice to be back in person. I want to wish everyone, a happy holidays. And it's really feels good to be here.
Yes.
I also would like to thank everybody and wish you all happy holidays and break. It's going to be great to get back out to the schools. That's what we've been looking forward to for the last 3 years, to be able to get out and get with you and your team. So we're looking forward to them.
Okay. Yes. Harry?
Yes, I want to thank everyone, especially the HLA and Futures, because I'm seeing the great work they're doing over there, because I have to drop one of my grandkids off so I can see, and I got to get out to visit the other schools. So I haven't been able to do that, but soon I will be. And I want to, because I always like to see firsthand what's going on. And so I will be getting out to check out the schools, and I know you're doing a great job, and we should have some new things coming about in the future, but I don't know how long they're going to last, because the way this economy is going, we got a very good report today. We're happy today. I hope we don't be sad tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. So you've heard the report of the board comments. And yes, we all are looking forward to getting out, being with you and seeing what's happening firsthand at the schools. We've heard reports, but we want to just get out and see, get out and reach out and touch. So we're looking forward to that.
Admin in the room here, and those of us in cabinet want to be sure you have your invitation to attend the annual admin holiday party, which is on Thursday at 12:30. If you're able to be at that, if you have not communicated with Miss Melissa, but we would love to have you and celebrate and do our white elephant gift. And so be sure you're communicating with Miss Melissa if you can make that happen.
I think we've all communicated that, but yeah, they will all be there.
She said 12:30?
12:30.
Because I thought it was 11, but.
I'm just looking at my calendar. It says 12:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
He could come at 11 if he wants to. Anything else for the good of the organization? Well, we all want to with you, and we will see you on Thursday, but if we don't, lessons, best of the holidays, and take time for yourselves. Please take some time to rest, enjoy your families, and just kind of sit back and think about the good things. We're so happy with the resolution, with looking forward to Mr. Sample. And
Don't go there.
okay. I'll stop. And so, with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Someone?
Second.
Okay, can I get a first? All right, all in favor of the end of the meeting adjournment, voting sign of aye. Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. And again, thank all of you for being here. Thank you.